Hello, Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown on the MHRT Network. This is a show that is everything Broncos and brought to you with emotion, passion, honesty, and of course, my comments. I am your host, Bronco Bill. All right, guys, we're going in a completely different direction. It's the bye week. We're coming off the bye week, I should say. And I'll get into many different topics. You're probably wondering why I'm wearing the Chicago Cubs hat. Well, for those of you who don't know that I'm a huge Cubs fan, I'll get into some Cubs news. We're going different directions. I've got a feel-good story that's going to wrap up the show. I got a lot of Broncos news, and we're just going to have fun with this. It's coming off the bye week, and that's what happens. There's not a whole lot of Broncos news going on the bye week, so I just go in different directions. So I hope you guys are ready for the ride, and let's get right into it. Here we go. Denver Broncos, like I mentioned, had a bye week this past Sunday, and Sean Payton followed Andy Reid's lead for the bye week success. But wait a minute. You're probably thinking, why would he tap into Andy Reid being in the same division? This didn't happen this particular year. This happened when Sean Payton was the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. He called up Andy Reid and said, Andy, I mean, you guys are, super successful after the bye week. What are you doing differently that other teams aren't? Here it is. So what is Reid's success? Here it is. He uses the off or bye week to allow his players and coaches to take that week off as a mini vacation. Let them relax. Let them go to a resort. Not doing anything stupid like, going places where you could injure yourself, like doing, I don't know, go-kart racing or, skydiving, stuff like that. But he gives them a mini vacation, talking about Andy Reid now. He gives them a mini vacation, allows them to relax, allows them to regroup, be with their family, their friends, away from football. Don't even think about football for 7 days. Okay? Now think about this. The Broncos played their game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and that was on a Thursday. Then they had the bye week, which gave them an extra Friday, Saturday, right? Extra 2 days. So basically, they've had 9 to 10 days off. Actually, given the Monday night game that they're going to play against the Buffalo Bills, I'll get into that too as well. They're going to have about 12 to 13 days off. Now, that's fantastic for healing, for just rejuvenating your mind, your body, your family structure. I mean, these guys are working 7 days a week, basically. I mean, they have 1 day, maybe 2 days off. Well, most working people do have 2 days off, but you know what I'm saying? Their bodies are a grind. And in order to get them back to game shape and injury-free, that is a beautiful, beautiful plan that Andy Reid put in. And Sean Payton was smart enough to tap into that when he was a New Orleans Saints head coach. All right? Let me continue. When Reid did that, in other words, give the players and the coaches a week off, his record following the bye week is an all-time NFL record of 27 wins, 4 losses. That's it. 27 wins and 4 losses. That is crazy good. Crazy good after a bye week. And Andy Reid hasn't coached the Kansas City Chiefs his entire coaching career. He did that with the Phillies too. Eagles. I was thinking baseball. Eagles. So that's remarkable. So Sean Payton instituted that this past week, gave the coaches and players the time off. Let's just hope this works come this Monday night at Buffalo. Let's just hope that the Andy Reid formula for winning after the bye week comes to fruition with the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton and coaching staff, players, all of that going into this Monday night. I'll get into that in a little bit. All right, before I get into there, let me hit the chat real quick. I want to give a shout out to the leadoff batter, Clayton Huron. Hey, bud. I say, hey, Clayton, what's happening, my friend? Yes, hit the like button. Let me say it verbatim because Clayton is the only one that can say it the way he says it. Smash that like button and share, guys. Let's go. Denver Broncos for life, baby. Another dub, baby. I agree. I don't know. I don't know, Clayton. I'm going to get into that down the road. Topic, obviously, as the Broncos play the Bills on Monday Night Football. I will get into that for sure. But other stories, because it is a bye week. Other stories I'm going to bring in but we will get to that. Absolutely. All right. Staying in prime time. Now, the Denver Broncos have really been looked at by the NFL, some critics and whatnot. Like, why are the Broncos in prime time? You know, they're 3-5, or they were 1-5 before we beat Green Bay and Kansas City. Why are the Broncos in prime time? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why they're in prime time. It doesn't say in this article that I'm reading, but I will tell you why they're in prime time before I read this. And the main reason is the Broncos are on a 2-game winning streak. They're playing Buffalo, who's struggling, and following Buffalo on this coming Monday night, the following Sunday, a week from this Sunday, they play the Minnesota Vikings in Denver. Now, I'll get into some of that too, so just enjoy the show, guys. We're going many different directions. I'm going to hit on many different topics. But the main reason why the Broncos are staying in prime time is because they've won 2 in a row, because they've got Sean Payton as head coach, and they're playing the Buffalo Bills, and it's in Buffalo. And we all know that the NFL loves New York, whether it's New York City or New York State. They love them. So here it is. This is not talking about the Buffalo game. This is talking about the Minnesota Vikings game. The Broncos game at home, Week 11 against the Minnesota Vikings, will stay in prime time Sunday night. Yes. And the main reason why I say yes is because of what I'm about to say. The Denver Broncos, like I mentioned, are on a 2-game winning streak. If they lose at Buffalo, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter as far as I don't want the Broncos to lose, but I'm just saying it doesn't matter in regards to why the Broncos would stay in primetime with Minnesota. Main reason I'm going to stay in primetime with the Vikings is because of Josh Dobbs. Last week, Josh Dobbs, and oh boy, I'll get into that. Josh Dobbs was phenomenal. And the Broncos are now clicking on all fours. They're clicking, well, I guess all threes. Well, all fours. Offense, defense, special teams, and coaching. They're clicking on all fours. And that's why the game is staying in prime time. The NFL says, hey, we want to see some more of this Josh Dobbs guy. This guy's incredible. I mean, he's just nuts. And then we got the Broncos coming off of a 2-game wins back-to-back. Hopefully we can take down Buffalo, make it 3. But regardless if that doesn't happen, it's still Russell Wilson, it's still Sean Payton, it's still Josh Dobbs, it's still football. It's a good story. It's a really good story. And that's why it stayed on prime time. I continue. The league informed the Broncos that the game will remain a Sunday night football matchup. Denver will have back-to-back primetime games with the Bills this coming Monday night at Buffalo, followed by the Sunday night game at home against the Vikings. There you go. That's why the NFL is sticking with it. And I agree with it. I'm glad they're sticking with it. Why move it? This is a good story, regardless how it turns out. Seriously, if the Vikings beat the Broncos in Week 11 and Josh Dobbs does something ridiculous like he did against Atlanta, that's a story that's going to be out there. If the Broncos beat the Vikings, it's a good story and a feel-good story for Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. So it's a win-win, guys. It's a win-win. I'm just hoping the Broncos get the win-win, if you know what I'm saying. All right. Former Broncos offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur is now calling plays for the Deion Sanders Colorado Buffaloes. Are you freaking kidding me? You're kidding me. He's calling the offensive plays for the Colorado Buffaloes? Hey, Deion, have you lost your freaking mind? Did you not watch Pat Shurmur with the Broncos and head coach Nathaniel Hackett last year? How pathetic they were? Seriously. And you're allowing Pat Shurmur to call play call? Uh-oh. Shurmur takes over for Sean Lewis. Ironically, Shurmur's lead offense for the Buffaloes have resulted in continued losses. Yes, I know they won last week, but Pat Shurmur is not a great offensive coordinator. He may be a lot better in college because college, is a lot different than the NFL, obviously. College has bigger windows to throw into from the quarterback. They don't cover as well. That's why 95% or 99% of college football players never make it to the NFL because they're not that good. They're great college good. They're not NFL good. And we've seen that many times with draft picks that the Broncos have done or other teams have done, and it's just fallen by the wayside. Fallen by the wayside and just not amounted to anything because they're not that good in the NFL structure, the way the NFL game is played, the speed, the hitting, the talent. It's just not there. Pat Shurmur may be good in college. I'm not buying it. And I don't know why Deion Sanders is lowering his standards to go to Pat Shurmur. Do you realize the Buffaloes have, I think, 4 games left and they have to win 2 of them to at least get a shot at making the playoffs? Playoffs. Don't talk to me about playoffs. Yeah, that comes up every single time somebody mentions playoffs when they have an outside chance. Why Pat Shurmur? Why? I don't know. But then when it says talking about the continued losses and just the confusion or whatever, and then that doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me one bit because he was that way in Denver. I mean, he was horrible. And that's why he's not on the Broncos anymore. And neither is Hackett. And neither is Fangio. And neither is a whole lot of people. But, I mean, obviously we're making strides. The Broncos, that is, making strides in a better, more positive direction. Absolutely. All right. This is interesting. Speaking of Deion Sanders, this is interesting. The Vegas Raiders owner, Mark Davis, is in search of a new head coach. There will be plenty of speculation as to who it will be, but one name has been on Davis's radar. Wait a minute. Why is Mark Davis looking for a new head coach? Because he fired Josh McDaniels before last Sunday's game. Now, not on Sunday, but I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday, somewhere prior to the game that the Raiders played last week. Mark Davis fired Josh McDaniels. And I talked about that in my show last week. All right? That's why he's in search of a head coach. What name do you think is on his radar? Well, I did mention, speaking of Deion Sanders, here it is. That person is Deion Sanders of the Colorado Buffaloes. Sanders is seen as a great motivator, and players want to play for him. Hiring Sanders away from Colorado would be a huge move for Mark Davis. But would Sanders jump from Colorado to the Las Vegas Raiders? I don't know. I really don't know or think that Deion Sanders would do that. I mean, if the money talks, man. I mean, a lot of things talk. Money talks, location talks, the city, the ownership, the the drive to be the best, all of that. I don't know. I don't know if Deion Sanders would jump and leave Colorado. He seems to love the Colorado Buffaloes. He loves the state of Colorado. He loves working with kids. Now, sure, there's kids that are in the NFL. They're in their 20s, mid to late 20s, early 30s. So, yeah, Deion could relate to them. But I think he really enjoys the college atmosphere, the college players, the ones that he can motivate, the ones that he can inspire to be better than they are. I don't know if NFL players, once they, what's the word I'm looking for? Once they get their feet in the ground, once they feel secure enough to kind of like slack off a little bit. I'm not saying they do, just saying it's a possibility. In college, you only have 4 years and you try and make it the best you can because you're trying to make that goal, whatever goal it is. Some goals are to be doctors and they're playing football because it's academics and it helps them out in their grades. I don't know. Some play to try and make it to the NFL. A lot of them do. A lot of them don't make it though. It's like salmon swimming upstream. Eventually the bear's going to grab you in his teeth and you ain't going to make it. Some do, but most of them don't. And I don't know if Deion Sanders would jump from Colorado Buffaloes to the Vegas Raiders with all of that turmoil. I just don't know. But I thought that was interesting that Mark Davis is going after, or would love to go after, if he hasn't already. Probably can't do anything till the season's over, but going after Deion Sanders of the Colorado Buffaloes. That is surprising to me. Really surprising. All right. More Broncos players fined. 2 Denver Broncos players were each fined $13,659 for unsportsmanlike conduct. All right. What did they do? And who are they? Well, those players are Zach Allen and Josie Jewell. Wow, those are unlikely players to get fined and for unsportsmanlike conduct. Really? Oh, well, okay, here we go. CBS NFL Insider said the infringement occurred after a sack of Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so what's the unsportsmanlike conduct? Not sacking him, that's obvious. That's not it. Blow the head? Well, they didn't say it was a personal foul. They said unsportsmanlike conduct. Here it is. The NFL has said any act resembling shooting a gun will get you fined, end quote. So basically what they did, because I went and watched the video, after Zach Allen and Josie Jewell sacked Patrick Mahomes, both of them went boom, 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 boom. Okay, well, that's a $13,000 fine? Seriously? You can't do that. Now you can't even do it. Who says that they were shooting guns? They didn't go bang, bang. They didn't point it at anybody. They went up like this, like, yeah. What, you can't go, yeah. You can't have fingers up? Can't have 2 fingers? Well, you can have 1 finger, but it better not be the middle one, I guess. I mean, but you can't do that in the NFL? And now you're going to be fined $13,000+ for going like this. Seriously. Wow. What's next? Somebody in baseball after hitting a home run, comes around third base and goes like this up to the sky because they're pointing to God or to heaven or to their family members. And you can't do this in the NFL, but you can do this in baseball. What's it coming down to, guys? What in heaven's name is the NFL trying to do besides dumb down everything? Holy cow, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. I understand that they're trying to, not have violence or anything. You can't do this to a player and you can't go like this, like you're hanging them. And I get that. Those are blatant. But this, I mean, unless you're going bang, bang, bang and pointing it at, it just seems absolutely ridiculous to me. Absolutely ridiculous to me. All right. Spence GC is in the house. All right. Hey, dude, I think the Broncos cover the 7.5 beers. Spence, you are something else, my friend. You are something else, man. I love it. I love every time you come in the chat and you just make this guy smile, man. I love it. She goes on and said, I mean points, but not confident they can win outright. So okay, so you think the Broncos are going to cover the 7.5 point underdog that they are to the Buffalo Bills, which surprises me that it's 7.5. Buffalo hasn't really looked that strong, and I'll get into that as we get going on, later in the show here. I don't see Buffalo's being that strong. However, I will say this: Denver's on the road. It's in upstate New York. It's going to be cold. It's at night, and it's a cross-country trip for the Broncos to make. Yes, it's going to be tough. 7.5 points. That means Buffalo has to score 8. Or they have to win by 8, I should say. So it could be 28-20. Then Buffalo would cover the spread. 28-21? Nope. Denver covers the spread. So I don't know, man. Golly, that 7.5 is tempting, man. That is so freaking tempting, given by how we played against Kansas City, and even how we played against Green Bay. I know we barely beat Green Bay by 2, but we handed. Or I should say, we handily held Kansas City under our thumb, 24-9. So, wow, that's a good play. That makes me think, Spence. That makes me think, dude. If I was a betting guy, I'm not a betting guy, but if I was a betting guy, I think I would put my money on Denver to cover the spread, or not cover, but yeah, cover the spread. However they say it. Yeah, I would put my money on Denver. All right. Russell Wilson versus the Jets team. Now, this doesn't go back to week 5 when the Broncos lost to the Jets, although there are similarities. And here it is. Russell Wilson has come under fire from across those in the NFL world. Absolutely has. They're saying he's washed up. They're saying he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that, whatever. Most people feel or felt that Wilson was just washed up. However, I have always felt it was a Hackett thing, and I can prove it now. Remember, Nathaniel Hackett is the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets, all right? Here we go. Russell Wilson has thrown for 1,814 total yards, 16 touchdowns in 2023. Listen, that's the key word, entire. The entire Jets offense has 1,913, so basically 99 more yards passing yardage, total yards, and 9 touchdowns compared to 16 by Wilson in 2023. Nathaniel Hackett is the Jets offensive coordinator, like I mentioned. So, does that mean that Russell Wilson is horrible? No. Does it mean the Jets are horrible? Yes. And the reason why I say you might think that's controversial. Well, Russell Wilson's not horrible. He has less passing total yards than it said Russell Wilson against the Jets offense. That includes anybody who's a Jets quarterback. Yes, they don't have Aaron Rodgers. I understand that. He's injured. But Nathaniel Hackett was supposed to be the guy who's the offensive coordinator guru. Looks more like it was Aaron Rodgers than it was Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett, I mean, it's proof of the pudding right there. It's proof of the results. The Jets are horrible, and yet they beat the Broncos. Well, that was because, in my opinion, it was a revenge game. It was a revenge game of all the things that Sean Payton said about Nathaniel Hackett, and the Broncos just got outcoached. Absolutely outcoached. It was early in the season. Sean Payton had really dumbed down the playbook for Russell Wilson and shortened up the verbatim or verbiage, not verbatim, but the verbiage of the play calls. So, it's different. It was much different then. It's totally different now. I believe if the Broncos would play, if they were playing the Jets later in the season, like let's say week 14, 15, Denver would beat them no problem. Hands down. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. All right, guys, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing a Cubs hat. Well, it is a bye week. So we're talking about major things that happened, and a major thing had happened in Major League Baseball concerning my favorite team, the Chicago Cubs. That's why I'm bringing it in, because it's my favorite team, and it is huge news. Here it is. Longtime Milwaukee Brewers manager has left the Brewers for the Chicago Cubs as their manager. David Ross was loved by his coaches, loved by his players, and Cubs fans around the world, has been let go in favor of Counsell. Counsell's contract is for 5 years, $40 million. He just set the bar for the highest paid manager in Major League Baseball. Am I happy about this move? Yes and no. I've got mixed emotions, and I'll tell you why. All right. I know this is not a baseball podcast or a baseball show, but it's the bye week, so things change and different topics come in. I'm not happy about it because I don't like the way they did David Ross. David Ross was blindsided. He had his contract was still active going into the 2024 season, and that was cut short, cut off at the knees. I don't know what transpired. I don't know if they went in there and they said, hey, David, hey, we love the fact that you are a manager. We love the fact that you played the game the way you did, and you're part of the 2016 World Series championships after 108 years. We thank you for all of that, but we have an absolutely diamond in the rough opportunity to get a Greg Counsell or Craig Counsell, and we can't pass it up. I'm hoping it went down something like that, and not like, hello, David. Can you come in my office right now? Yeah. All right. See you in a couple minutes. Boom. Hang up. Knock on the door. It's David. Yeah, come on in, Dave. Sits down. We're going in a different direction. We thank you for your services and for being manager, but you're fired. I'm hoping that's not what happened. But then on the flip side, Greg Counsell is a phenomenal manager. He's managed the Milwaukee Brewers for, I think, 10 or 12 seasons, and he's won the division, the Central Division and the National League for the last 3 or 4 years. But he just doesn't seem to get over the hump to get to the World Series. I don't know if I really like this move. I mentioned before, I love David Ross. I think the world of David Ross. He was amazing in the 2016 Chicago Cubs run to the championship and win it, and got a home run in his final at bat in the World Series. How crazy good is that? But I don't know. I won't know until I actually see the season unfold. But I'm just a fan. I don't have control over the team, none whatsoever. All I can do is cheer. And if Craig Counsell is now the Chicago Cubs manager, which is official, then I have to support him being a Chicago Cubs fan. All right, guys, moving on. The Denver Broncos ownership. I was very, very skeptical of the Walton Penner ownership group coming to Denver and taking over the Denver Broncos as new owners. And the reason why is my biggest fear was they would move out of Colorado. They would go to Bentonville, Arkansas, where Walmart, that's where they have their headquarters. My wife used to work for Walmart, so I know quite a bit about that. My fear was that they would end up in Arkansas, and they would be the Arkansas Broncos or the Arkansas whatever. And that would hurt this guy. That would tear me to pieces. However, when Walton Penner Ownership Group bought the Broncos, and they started doing renovations to Mile High Stadium with a brand new big ass scoreboard. I mean, that thing's huge, man. And they're doing these renovations, they're upgrading this and that, and the concessions and the media and all of that. Listen to this. The Denver Broncos ownership group is going to build a new stadium? Not quite, but they're making progress. Listen, they're building a new $175 million team headquarters. The project will be 100% funded by outside groups? Not a chance. Not a chance. 100% funded by the Walton Penner ownership group. What does that tell you guys? You know what that tells me? That tells me that they are devoted to Denver. They're devoted to the Broncos. They're devoted to Colorado, and they are devoted to Broncos country. Period. Plain and simple. You don't put up $175 million of your own money and not mean business and not be serious. Absolutely you don't. Because what you would do then is you would get these outside owners, or not ownership, outside groups to come in and pony up some money so you don't have to put so much in, so you're not liable when you walk away. Oh, if you were to walk away and put the team somewhere else, allow the Vegas Raiders left Oakland. You know, Raiders left Oakland. Why? Because they wouldn't build them a new stadium. They wanted the city to pony up and put the money and build a stadium. And the city said, not in your life. Why do you think the Chargers left? Same freaking reason. The owners of the Broncos, Walton Penner ownership group, is bound and determined to stay in Colorado, primarily Denver. That's the reason why they're putting up their own money. You don't put up your own money if you're not serious. Think about it, guys. I mean, think about it. Come on, guys. We're all guys. We've bought toys. We've bought cars. We've bought TVs. We've bought computers. We've bought whatever. We've bought, we've done whatever. If it's your own money, you're going to be more serious about what transpires when it's your money. If somebody else buys you something and you look at it and go, yeah, that's nice. That's good. I like it. But you're not 100% invested in that item because it's not 100% of your own money. Walton Pennership Group has totally changed my opinion as to them being the owners of the Broncos. I am totally sold on the fact that they mean business and they're staying in Denver. And that was my major concern when they bought them. Continue. Hang on. The Broncos will break ground on the 205,000 square foot project this coming spring. It is scheduled to be completed in time for the 2026 season. If anyone thought this ownership group, including me, I just stated, if anyone thought this ownership group didn't love Denver and the Broncos, should think again. And I have. This new facility will house both football operations as well as business operations. That is brilliant. That is smart. You don't have right now the facilities at Dove Valley, same place where this is going to be built. They're in Dove Valley. That's the players' facility, but the management facility is at Mile High Stadium or Empower Field. Excuse me. Why? They're miles apart. What if they need immediate attention? Get on the phone, send a text, an email. That's not the same as being there. And all of these buildings, I didn't elaborate on it, but if you want to look it up, look on YouTube under the Broncos' new facility at Dove Valley. All of these buildings are going to be connected. Okay, right now you've got a weight room at Dove Valley, you've got a locker room, you've got this building over here, they're all disconnected. All of these are going to be connected with corridors, interwoven or whatever, to get into these different buildings. That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. You want to be able to have an open door policy per se. You want to be able to have somebody saying, hey, I got this issue, I got that issue. They're going to have the training building there. They're going to have the weight room there. They're going to have the rehab center. They're going to have all of these things connected. That's the way it should be. You don't build a great solid foundation by being disconnected. You don't. You stay connected. And this ownership group gets it. They know what they're doing. They're got a game plan, guys. I'm excited. I am absolutely excited about the direction that this ownership group is putting forth with this team. Are the Broncos a perennial Super Bowl contending team now? No, but they're working the way towards that. It's a work in progress, guys. Rome wasn't built in a day. Broncos Stadium isn't going to be built in a day down the road, and neither will Doves Valley new, what I said was the new headquarters. It's not going to be built in a day. It's a work in progress, and we're working towards that goal of getting back to the playoffs, getting back to the Super Bowl, and it starts with the leadership of the owners group and them saying, okay, we want to make a state-of-the-art headquarters, guys. We want to make a state-of-the-art headquarters, and we want to make it so it benefits not only you, but it benefits the front office. And that's what they're doing, guys. That's what they're doing. And I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. All right. Rudy Torres, my brother-in-law in Vegas, says, Bill, like I said, the Broncos will be in the playoffs. I felt it. I felt it. It's my strong feeling. You know, in order to make the playoffs, we're 3-5. We can only lose 3 more games. That's it. 3 more games. Buffalo, maybe. I'll get into that. Maybe Buffalo. Maybe Chargers. Maybe Lions. Can't go any further than that. Okay? Can't go any further than that. Any one of those steals would, because we have to go at least 9-8. Hopefully 10-7. But that means we're going to only lose 2 more games. That's going to be extremely, extremely tough. If I have us losing, and I have not confirmed this yet, but I'm just throwing this out there. If I have Denver losing Buffalo, Lions, Chargers once. We already played the Chiefs twice, so they're out. That's 3 losses. Who are you going to beat in that sequence? You're going to sweep the Chargers? You're going to beat the Lions? Possibly. Or you're going to beat Buffalo in Buffalo this coming Monday. If we beat Buffalo this coming Monday, we have a chance to go 10-7. Absolutely have a chance to go 10-7. But man, Rudy, that's a stretch. Rudy says, have faith. Absolutely, I want to have faith. That's a given. But but I got to be realistic. I got to be serious. And realistically, I just don't see the Broncos beating the Bills in Orchard Park, New York, in cold, in November, the middle of November, in upstate New York. On a Monday night, traveling across country. I don't know. There's all these odds stacked against, but hey, any time, on any given Sunday, Monday, whichever, it can't happen. It can't happen. Okay. One of the main reasons why the Denver Broncos have won their past 2 games and are progressively getting better on offense is this. By week 8 of last season, the Broncos used their 6th different starting offensive line combination. So far this season, the offensive line has been the same for all 8 games. Right guard Quinn Miners said this, and I quote, There's nothing that can replace those game day reps together. It goes into the work that we've all put into to keep our bodies healthy. It also goes back to the spring when we were working out together here. And that's really important, end quote. Basically what he's saying is this. Last season through 8 games, the Broncos in 6 of those 8 games used 6 different starting offensive line combinations. Through the first 8 games this year, 1 offensive line combination, and that's why it's working. Miners, Bowles, Cushenberry, these guys are all working together. They starting to know that when a certain play is called, they know that if they move a certain way, the guy next to him is going to do what he's supposed to do. Whereas in weeks past, not necessarily, obviously not this year, But in weeks past and last year, well, a lot of things happened last year. But in last year, with all those line changes, they didn't know what the guy next to him was going to do. Maybe he got the play call wrong and he's moving left when he's supposed to move right, and he bumps into his own player. Things like that. This offensive line is gelling. And Russell Wilson is more efficient. And Russell Wilson is, like I mentioned earlier, comparison to the Jets. He's got 16 touchdowns in 8 games. That's an average of 2 a game, guys. Yes. Yeah, that's how math works. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 games, 16 touchdowns passing. And he's improving under Sean Payton. And we knew that would happen. But everybody wanted to just, what's wrong with the Broncos? How come we're 0 this and 0 that? And we're only 1-5? Because it takes time to gel. It takes time to, Russell Wilson's in another head coaching. He has another head coach. He has another offensive coordinator. He has another quarterbacks coach, another receiver. It's a whole lot of different things, a different playbook, a different verbiage, just all of these things. And it's starting to gel. Just takes time, guys. But when you have an offensive line that is playing the exact same 5 guys on the offensive line for 8 straight weeks, that tells me a huge deal. That tells me a great deal of why they're having success now, because it starts up front. Everybody knows it starts up front. Doesn't start with the quarterback. Everybody knows it starts with the quarterback. No, it doesn't. The play may start with the quarterback, but the progression and the success of the play starts with the offensive line. Absolutely no doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right, here we go. Topic of the show is Broncos play the Bills on Monday Night Football this coming Monday night. Denver's 3-5. Buffalo is 5-4. Denver travels to Buffalo for the Monday night game this coming Monday. Can the Denver Broncos continue their winning ways and beat the Bills in cold Orchard Park, New York? Question mark. Do I think the Broncos can beat the Buffalo Bills at Orchard Park, New York on a Monday night, traveling 2/3 across the country? Sure. Do I think they will? Realistically, not sure. Not sure, and here's why. Buffalo isn't all that strong this year. They're not all that it was cracked up to be. They've had some miscues. Obviously, they wouldn't have lost 4 games if they were as solid and dynamite as they were last year. That being said, can the Denver Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills? Sure they can. It's going to take several things. They have to play the same type of game, maybe not the same exact way, because different teams play different ways. But they have to play as solid of a game against Buffalo that they did against the Kansas City Chiefs, a week and a half ago on Thursday night in Denver. They have to play the same type of game. Same type of game. I'm sorry, it wasn't Thursday night, it was Sunday. My mistake. I'm confusing it with the game in Kansas City. Anyways, they have to play that type of game. They have to play strong. They have to play solid. They have to play error-free. Don't take stupid penalties. Don't have 3 and outs. Move the ball down the field. Use your run game. Use your passing game. Use screenplay. Whatever you got to do, you have to control the ball. You have to win the time of possession. Maybe not necessarily, but you have to win field position. You have to pin the Bills back. You have to force Josh Allen to use a long field. Don't give him any short fields. That would be a death nail. Don't do it. Is it possible? Sure. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. I will tell you what I think the final score will be after I do my last segment here in the next few minutes. I've got just two more topics. and then I'll let you know. I'll let you know what I think the final score will be. All right, Rudy says, not sure about the penalties, but a win is inevitable. I know, Rudy. You're drinking that orange and blue Kool-Aid. I love it. I'm glad you are. I just don't know. I don't know if the Kansas City win at Denver was for real. In other words, I know we won the game. Don't get me wrong. We won 24-9. I'm not that stupid. I know that we won the game. I'm just saying I don't know if it's for real, meaning that was it because the Broncos were so pumped up and amped up to get a win at home against the Kansas City Chiefs that they hadn't beaten in 6 weeks? And will they go into Buffalo with somewhat of a letdown because they don't have that same emotion, that same passion, that same drive? That's what I'm talking about as far as saying, I just don't know if they can keep it up. I just don't know if it's for real. We barely beat Green Bay. We should have beaten Green Bay handily. Barely beat them. And then we do a landslide against Kansas City. So I don't know what Broncos team we're going to see. Are we going to see the Broncos team that barely hung on and beat Green Bay? Or are we going to see a Bronco team that put a beat down on Kansas City? Which team is going to show up in Buffalo? Which team is going to show up in Buffalo? And that's what scares me to death. I don't know. I really don't know. This is interesting. CBS has already sold out the entirety of their 2024 Super Bowl ads. The average, now this is average because I don't know if you guys know or not, but the very first commercial after the kickoff in the Super Bowl is the most expensive. Why? Because everybody in America and across the world is watching the opening kickoff of Super Bowl, whatever year it is. That's why the first commercial after the Super Bowl kickoff is the most expensive. So that's why it's the high side. Average means you got the high, you got the low, you got the middle. Average. The average cost for 30 seconds is $7 million per 30-second commercial. Wow. Divide that up, guys. Divide 30 into 7 million or 7 into 30 million. You'll find out how much it costs. Let's see. 30 would be seconds. You'll find out how much it costs per second. That's crazy. All right. By comparison, in 2015, it was only 4.25 million for 30 seconds. So it basically doubled in 8 years? Well, of course, it's inflation, guys. It's inflation. It's going to go up. But $7 million for a 30-second commercial. Holy smokes. I probably should have done the math and broke it down how much it would be per second. But that's interesting. Or per 10 seconds. That is interesting. Absolutely. 7. Let's see. There's 10 seconds. There's 3, 7 to... Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 2.5, it's about 2.33 million per 10 seconds is what that comes out to be. 2.33 million, 2,033 or 333,000 or something like that. But 2.33 million per 10 seconds of that commercial. So when you're watching these commercials in the Super Bowl coming up in 2024 in February, remember this. Remember this show. Remember this comment. Every 10 seconds, they paid 2.33 million. Wow. That's a lot of money. Victor Daniel, I know who you are, my friend. You're my former coworker at Eagles Peak. What's going on, Daniel? Nice to have you in the chat, man. Go Buffalo Bills. Dan. All right, you're blocked. Just kidding. That's messed up, man. That's messed up. I know you're a Cowboys fan, man. You just had to throw that in there, but it's all good. Hey, it's all good, man. You can cheer for who you want. I can cheer for who I want. I cheered for the Avalanche last night. We lost. I have no control on the outcome. So, hey, you can cheer for whoever you want. Greatly appreciate you being in the chat. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate it. All right. This is the last topic of the show, and I call it the feel good story. I wanted to try and come up with, I wanted to do a little song, the song by, uh, God, can't think of his name now, but it's the song I Feel Good. Bobby Brown. I feel good. That one. I wanted to put that in there and say, this is a feel good story, which it really is. Okay. And I'm bringing it in for two reasons. One, because we play this team a week from this coming Sunday, and it's a feel good story on how it transpired. Here it is. The Minnesota Vikings were at Atlanta last Sunday when third string and newly signed quarterback Josh Dobbs was thrust into the game due to a concussion of their backup quarterback. Now, forgive me, guys. I don't know the backup quarterback for the Vikings. I probably should, but I don't. The only reason why I say I probably should is because I'm bringing this topic, but also I probably should because that's my NFC team, the team I like. But I continue. Dobbs, who only signed 5 days prior because of Kirk Cousins' season-ending injury, had not taken any reps with the first string and barely knew their names. Holy smokes, guys! Think about this. Okay, the backup quarterback for the Vikings he tried to run around the right side to get into the end zone. They're at the Falcons, I don't know, 8-yard line, 7-yard line, 6-yard line, something like that. And he tries to run it in the end zone and takes a tremendous hit and ends up with a concussion. And that's in the first quarter. So you got to enter Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs is like, what the heck am I doing? What am I doing? I only signed with this team 5 days earlier. I have no idea what the play calling, the playbook's like. I mean, I just barely, had a crash course on it. And now I'm in the game. I don't even know who these receivers are, let alone never took any first reps with them. And I don't know how they run the route. What the heck am I doing in here? Well, you're doing what he had to do. He's called into service, so to speak. Called into the game. I continue. Here we go. That said, Dobbs threw for 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, and completed 20 of 30 attempts. He also rushed for 66 yards, 1 touchdown on 7 carries. Dobbs led the game-winning drive late in the fourth quarter with under 40 seconds left when he hit a receiver cutting across right in front of the goal line to catch the game-winning touchdown. Final score? Wait a minute. Hold on. I'll tell you that final score in just a minute. You're probably wondering to yourself, like I was watching the game, how in heaven's name is Josh Dobbs being able to do this when he didn't take any snaps with the first string players, doesn't hardly even know the playbook, doesn't know what receiver routes they're running? It's because of their head coach, Kevin O'Connell. This guy should be absolutely coach of the year after this game. And I'll tell you why. Because he was basically in the huddle, he was giving Josh Dobbs the play. And Josh Dobbs is giving it to his linemen and his receivers and his running back. They know what the play is. Josh Dobbs doesn't. He has no clue. So as he's breaking huddle and walking to the line, Kevin O'Connell is telling him in his ear, okay, wide receiver to your right, he's running a slant pattern. Wide receiver to your left, he's running a down and out. Play as a handoff to the back. He's doing stuff like that, guys. He's breaking it down for Josh Dobbs to be able to understand what's going on. That, to me, is a remarkable head coach. And if you guys remember way back last year, I was pushing to sign Kevin O'Connell as the Broncos' next head coach before we signed that idiot Hackett. I wanted O'Donnell. Why? Because this guy gets it. Am I happy we have Sean Payton? Absolutely. I'm talking about before we signed Nathaniel Hackett. I wanted Kevin O'Connell because of this very reason. He's a player's head coach. He gets it. He understands what he has to do. He had to absolutely dumb down the playbook and the play calling every single play when the Vikings were on the field in offense so that Josh Dobbs could understand and digest and dissect what he needed to know. You tell me this isn't a feel-good story, guys? Come on, man. Are you serious? I'm telling you, man, this was absolutely amazing. If you have a chance, go on YouTube, look up the Vikings-Falcons game. Look up the press thing. Look up Kevin O'Connell and what he said and to how he was able to get Josh Dobbs through that game. Not only through the game, but winning the game. Amazing. It's a feel-good story? Absolutely. But then again, that means the Broncos have to contest or have to not contest. Well, yeah, they have to play not only Josh Dobbs and the Vikings on, in week 12, or excuse me, week 11, a week from Sunday, but they have to go against Kevin O'Connell, who is going to be amazing because he was amazing against Atlanta. This guy is brilliant. He's amazing. He's brilliant. But so is Sean Payton. So I'm not sitting there saying, guys, that I'm a huge Vikings fan, which I am. I mean, that's my NFC team. But I'm a 100% Broncos fan. I mean, come on. You don't see a Vikings flag back there, do you? Nope. You see a Broncos flag. But the Vikings are my second favorite team and my first NFC team. Okay? Just saying that. I just thought that was an amazing feel-good story because I've never heard of a head coach ever doing that with a player, 5 days on the team and basically breaking it down, saying exactly what the receivers are going to do, what the running backs can do, offense, or whatever it was. It was absolutely spectacular, and it turned out to be a Vikings come-from-behind win against Atlanta in Atlanta with nobody thought that would happen. Absolutely nobody thought that would happen. And it's just crazy. Just crazy. All right, final score of that game. Vikings won. Vikings beat the Falcons 31-28 on that incredible 2-minute drill, going 75 yards down for a touchdown to win the game against the Atlanta Falcons 31-28. I said I would give you the final score of what I thought the Broncos game would be in Buffalo, Orchard Park, New York, this coming Monday night. Primetime? I'm sorry, guys. I just don't see it. I hope I'm wrong. But I have the Buffalo Bills winning the game 23-20 over the Denver Broncos this coming Monday night. I hope I'm wrong. Absolutely, but I'm not sure. Before I get out of here, Rudy Torres says, beer 30, Mr. Broncos, Bill. Yeah, you got that right. And I'm going to have a nice cold one after I get out of here. So one more shout out to Rudy. Says, I'm a Mahomes fan, but Denver Broncos is my team. Yeah, I like Patrick Mahomes. I'll give you that. Patrick Mahomes, he is special. He really, really is special. And that's why I like seeing guys like Josh Dobbs do something like that, because it makes him special to be able to do something that nobody ever thought could possibly happen. And that's what I like about, Patrick Mahomes. I want to beat him every time we play him. And thank goodness we beat him a week and a half ago. And that really makes this guy feel good. It really, really does. If we can beat Josh Jacobs, if we can beat Josh Dobbs here in week 11 in Denver, a week from Sunday, that'll make me happy as well. That's it, guys. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you have not, please do so. It costs you literally nothing. Just takes a little click. Hit subscribe. Get notified of when this show goes live and all the other shows on the MHRT network. It does the network greatly. I really do appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up, the like button. That means the world to not only this show, but also to the network. Really, really do appreciate it, guys. Tell your friends, tell your family. It costs nothing, and it really does support. You guys, you're the backbone of the show. Love every single one of you in the chat. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Friday. I would be absolutely remiss if I did not point this out. Today is November 10th. It is Veterans Day observed. However, tomorrow, Saturday, November 11th, is Veterans Day. I personally want to thank each and every veteran out there, whether they're retired, you're still in the active service, or you're in reserves. Thank each and every single one of you. Rudy, I know that you're a vet, a Navy vet. I want to thank you so much for your service. Each and every one of you out there, thank you so much. Madungus Creevy, you're included. Thank you so very, very much for keeping this country, the United States of America, which I love dearly. I'm going to choke up because I love this country. Love it dearly. Thanks each and every one of you for your service, for keeping this country and this nation free. That's it, guys. Thanks so much again. We will talk to you next Friday. You know, each and every one of the shows that is live Monday through Friday. We are going to be doing the Broncos neighborhood this coming Monday night. It's the Denver Broncos at the Buffalo Bills. It will be the Broncos neighborhood going live with myself and Madungus Creevy. Until then, and again on Friday, this show, Broncos Break. Until then, guys, have a wonderful, safe, happy Veterans Weekend. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle. Wait a minute, work hard for the car, so that's why